All right, this is the situation at the end of the 4 p.m. turn, looking out in the east, where the Prussians have really begun to confront the Imperial Guard. At this stage, just an exchange of fire, some skirmishes out the front, and some artillery exchanges, the French having the upper hand in those brief little fire exchanges. But nothing else happening yet. Just the Prussians getting ready to move up, and the Imperial Guard sort of shifting around to use that space on their right. Now, further to the west, you can see this French light cavalry is beginning to act much more aggressively. They're moving against the Allied light cavalry, which pulled back up onto the high ground, and they're really hoping to exploit basically the overstretched Allied defences. You can see the Brunswickers in the front line. Now, this is the position that was originally held by the Dutch Belgians. When they fell back, the Nassauers moved into their positions. You can see some of those Nassauers remaining. The Nassauers are being forced back, and now the Dutch Belgians are holding off the French attacks. This turn saw a few assaults along the line. This area in particular was very successful for the French. They've now seized this nice little ridge here, and if I just zoom out a little bit, you can see there aren't many Allied defenders behind that area. Still some Brunswickers over here. This is the advanced guard of the Brunswicker contingent, some cavalry, and some recovered units making their way back to the front. What's happening now is the French are really hitting the British units of that reserve corps. They haven't really touched these guys. They've been focusing on the left here, but now they're hitting them, and they're rolling very well in their assaults, causing a lot of damage. Some French cavalry set up here and is really hurting that Allied heavy cavalry that exposed themselves. These guys have suffered quite a few losses. And we had another Allied cavalry charge. These guys came out here and attacked some of that exposed French cavalry on the hills just east of Hougoumont. They certainly succeeded, but then Lobau's corps countered and got some good artillery fire on, again, that exposed cavalry, causing some heavy losses. Then we also saw a rare infantry charge of some exhausted cavalry, which forced that cavalry back, didn't do too much damage. Around Hougoumont, though, another series of strong assaults by the French have seen them capture parts of the orchard, destroyed another guards unit, and those last defenders are really on their last foot, not in very good order. At the start of this turn, I think it's the 3rd Division, the 1st Corps, had an early activation, and they moved up to these hedges. You can see also around here a new Allied defensive line taking advantage of the terrain and the hedges as a defensive barrier. And elsewhere on the right, again, more French artillery fire doing a lot of damage around here. I think this is the remnants of the King's German Legion. King's German Legion, I think there's the Light Dragoons here, suffering from that French artillery. And of course the Dutch Belgians still standing firm in their squares, but suffering from French artillery. And now the French heavies have rested and recovered and are ready to get back into the action again. So, yes, end of the 4 p.m. turn. The French are optimistic. They're causing very heavy Allied casualties. It's interesting, around this time historically, I think this is where the French launched their cavalry charge, and it's actually the British who have used this open ground to harass, mainly picking off the French artillery in this area. As I said, they mentioned they've opened this bit of a gap in the Allied lines, but their cavalry has shifted around to the left. It was poor timing. Cavalry moved to the east to try and use guess, some of this space here to cause some trouble, harass the sort of isolated French allied light cavalry and the Hanoverians up on the hill. That was their plan. Again, this is very difficult terrain for the cavalry to move through, so they opted to use the open ground to their east. So that's it. More Prussian reinforcements. Right, there's a big line of reinforcements waiting to come on out in the east. So even though we've allocated the Imperial Guard that duty of sort of serving as a reserve, they are going to have their hands full just with the weight of numbers that the Prussians can bring to bear. Again, we'll have to see what happens over the next probably hour or even two by the time all those Prussians come onto the field.